Boom, baby, we're live. What's good,
Yes,
Profo?
sir. Yo, what's up? Shadow Rock and Profo 1 of the Floor Gangs and Knuckler Tribe, and I'm here with Jasoul. And this is Gearheads, a podcast about hacking, movement, and culture. How you doing, Jay?
Excellent, man. We're over here in the Vegas Valley right now, staying indoors. Allergy season,
Yeah,
baby.
man.
Other than that, I'm doing great. We got some good battles up here in Vegas coming up on the horizon. I've been training for uh, 27 years in the breaking game, feeling great, man.
There you go,
How you
man.
feeling, man? What's
So
good, man?
all good, man. Let's just explain like the podcast real quick. We just
Yeah.
If you don't know, if you're just tuning in, we basically try to go live on a bunch of different channels, and we're just, you know what I mean? We're a work in progress, baby. I'm not used to StreamYard. We got, Jay Soul's playing like the commentator expert slash young Jamie
Young
of
G.
navigating this podcast. You know what I mean? We're just watching clips, reacting, and just to break down the show, basically, being 30 years in the dance scene for myself, and Jay being 27 years, right? 27 years now.
Yes, sir. Yep.
27 years, like we both have experiences differently. Jay has a background of understanding biomechanics, right? So
Yes,
he
sir.
he talks a lot about stuff, how movement chains, and how to create the optimal and most economic way of movement. And as far as me, I've been in the scene for 30 years, traveling all over the world and just, gathering up like just gems and sharing my experience. So we had a conversations for a while. We talked about like just the relation of just breaking down movement and that entailed breaking down culture and understanding, breaking, and then how that even relates to like engineering, mechanics of, and basically being like a scientist, right? And then it was called like, I had the term, like, people that are gonna like the podcast are what we call gearheads. And that's when Jay was like, yo, gearheads, that's the name of the podcast. And I was like, yo, I'm with it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. That is a demographic that's out there that we see big time in other movement modalities and cultural art forms, MMA, sports performance. You know,
Yeah.
they break things down to a science so they can create and innovate programming technology to help people and to help ultimately perpetuate their relative culture or movement modality. So again, yeah, biomechanics, that it's an alternative. One of the things that I've been really hyped on and putting a lot of energy and passion into is identifying the biomechanics for breaking. And all sciences, everybody does it. You know, we've been getting a little bit of a when I talk to people a lot. I have my own podcast. It's the BTR Mind Break, and you know there seems to be an opposition, right? And I'm sure you know, Profo, from the
Yep.
culture. We have the elders that you know bless them, and I'm very fortunate to have them, and I educate myself big time, especially coming from the 90s. But preservation is one of the main things as things are transcending our immediate culture, right, with it becoming a sport and whatnot. But the
Right.
biomechanics is simply language and scientific principle that helps us understand what we're doing so we can do it for longer, and also, yeah, contribute as it does transcend into the world community.
Yeah, and that's my place in it too. It's like my place in it is to, like, I experience culture. I've been to the different places, been to New York, been to Germany, been to France, been to Japan. And the thing is about me is I always ask questions to a lot of the elders there. And then from there I formed this like kind of like timeline slash family tree of breaking, right? And why, I'll even break it down socio-economical of why, like, what influenced them, and the people around them, the environment influencing their movement. That it be music, that it be influence from elders, whatever it is. And then with J Soul's, like, expertise on the objective thing of biomechanics, then we could kind of try to decode and break down this language so that way everyone can understand a perspective of a creator or an observer. You know what I mean? And the whole thing is we're trying to create, uh, we're bridging the gap to the audience to create more fans, to understand, even if you're not a practitioner, you understand and become actually an expert in breaking. And then from there, even we'll go to music, we'll go to like, it's all related. That's why it's gearheads. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely, man. So yeah, breaking does come from the twist and throw culture, right? And the
Right.
experimental process that you and I have been on for
Right.
decades is just
Yeah.
that, right? It's a beautiful thing, and highly one of the most natural things that we can do is dance, right, and move in
Yeah.
the circular space around us. Um, but again, yeah, the twist and throw culture. I'm sure you know, Profo. You know, running into roadblocks and
Right.
injuries and setbacks and all
Yep.
that,
Yep.
we discover things the hard way, right?
Yeah.
So
100.
yeah, when we were coming up with the mission in hacking, I like that word that you proposed with that hacking
Right.
culture and movement. That's what we're bringing as we're segmenting and breaking things down on the
Yeah, man.
scientific level, and
Yeah,
it
man.
is an alternative to where it came from.
Yeah.
So without getting
So,
into the depths of that, right? The
right.
socioeconomic and the coming from scarcity, and that's kind of
Right.
the reality of the culture that we're from. Um, that's kind of the nutshell of what we're doing with Gearheads.
Right. And that's, yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, and then it's not, it's gonna, like I said, it's gonna expand beyond just breaking, you know. Hopefully, you know, in the future, we're gonna definitely have guests. We're gonna bring in guests, and we're gonna interview them. Maybe we'll interview OGs, and then even it'll go from like, probably go from breaking OGs and different b-boys and b-girls representing today. And at the same time, maybe we'll get into like, you know, people that create the music, maybe people like that write the books, and they're scientists, and then we go expand. That's the whole part. It's going to be very broad. We're going to start in our own little sphere, and then, you know, tendril out into these other scenes and see the relation, how we're actually very similar than different. You know what I mean?
See
And
how
I'm
we
very
can
excited for
connect.
that.
Yep, it's all about community, man, and how we can connect with people and build. And that's the beauty about having a universal language like science.
There you go.
So let me ask you, Profo. Yeah, I'm really hyped on that, man, and getting people involved. It's kind of the process I've been in. I know you and I, we have a very nice looking Rolodex of connects and stuff like that. But
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
before we
Yeah.
move on, you know, you
Yep.
mentioned some people already, and you've done interviews already with people that are hard to access, that have very valuable information about the
Mm-hmm.
culture that we
Yes, sir.
partake in. Um,
Yeah.
whether you've interviewed them in the past or somebody you haven't already, give me a top three of people that you want to bring on here real quick. Let's create a little
Like
wish list.
with with a possibility, or just the impossible, and just like, yo, let's put them on.
Whatever, man. Yeah,
Oh, dope.
wish list.
Wish list. Top three?
Yep.
Okay. Well then, okay, then I'll do it in three segments. My top three of segments. As far as music, I would like to get the Shockley brothers. They produced a lot of stuff for Public Enemy. They created like the modern sound. They influenced like RZA and Dr. Dre. So I would love them on this podcast. Two, like I said, I mentioned Rodney Mullen. I would love to interview Rodney Mullen, how he came up in Gainesville, Florida, how he came up with the flat ground ollie. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, like, and then for psychology, I would like to get Jordan Peterson. I think that would be
Oh
really dope.
man.
Yo, I'm
I
aiming for the
went big on
sky,
the. I
bro.
like that.
I'm aiming for the sky, man. Trick that. I ain't trying. Yo, no disrespect to the locals, but I'm aiming for the sky, bro. Like, you know,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
yo, like, let's make it happen. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Yeah. How about you?
Cool, man. Man, you went big with the Jordan Peterson. I like that. I'm a
There
Peterson head
you go.
myself. Everything I take with a grain of salt, and I'm a man of getting a consensus, of different information on whatever the topic is. But
Right.
I like that one a lot. So my list would look like I would have to go Tim Ferriss, man. Tim Ferriss would be one of
Oh,
them.
dope.
Speaking of
Yeah.
hacking,
He's in the Bay Area too.
he's in the
Like, there
Bay Area.
might be a
No
possibility.
way.
Yeah, there
Is
might
he
be a
really?
possibility. Yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah, he's already big up, and he comes from the breaking culture.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't
Yeah,
know how
yeah,
long
yeah.
he's been in it, but he's definitely a proponent for it
Yep.
and
Yep.
spoke about it, and is with his wide reach of his community, he's already gave us a plug. So it's incredible having somebody like him who's hacked learning, right? That's
Yeah, yeah, yeah. For real. That's real. That's real.
so I'll go Tim Ferriss.
Uh-huh.
I gotta mention my man Carl Paoli, man. I
Now
don't
we could
really.
get. I mean, we're gonna have him like we probably could have him like next week if we really wanted to.
He's a busy man. I mean,
Yes,
I don't
sir.
know. He
Yes,
makes
sir.
himself accessible, to his community, and I've had some
Right.
really really good conversations with him already. But he is another man that has developed systems and developed a community outside of ours, but understands our community very well with his time in the
Right.
Bay. And is, I know you've experienced time with him and
Oh
talks
yeah,
with
for
him as
sure.
well.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Shout out to
Um,
the coffee shop, 50/50 coffee shop over there in Gary. We would always meet up over there.
yeah,
So yo,
yeah,
shout out to him. Shout out to that coffee shop. Yeah. Go ahead.
yeah, man. And I'd have to talk to somebody in the culture that's been doing it for a long time. Man, I would like to talk to Skillroy. I gotta.
Oh, word, dude. Yeah, that's
The list
100
the
right
list is
there.
long. We
Yeah,
got
yeah, yeah.
Cliff, Flowmaster. I've had a talk with
Yeah.
him already, but he's somebody that's long in the game when it comes to physical performance.
Word, word.
But
Yeah,
Skillroy,
yeah, yeah.
just on a historic tip, man. I've been
Dude.
hearing. I just had a discussion with Little John just via messaging, and he spoke about how a guy from Rock Skittles, which is about Rock Skittles, right?
Yeah,
They're
yeah, yep,
in
yep,
Vegas.
yep.
That's the first time he's seen an air flare in '96, and
Word.
he mentioned Moy and his boy Nat. They got air
Yeah.
flares from seeing a guy. Man, I have the name over here somewhere, but yeah, Hawaii influenced Rock Skittles here, and the whole
Right.
start of that, which is I heard from Stingray and I heard from a bunch of other people too. So I'm a big Little John fan. So when I heard him say that, I was like, oh man, I gotta get back. I had all these resources when I was living there, and coming up in the '90s, it was all tribal. Even with the
Right,
OGs,
right,
we would call them out, and that's what kind of fed the culture back then. But
right.
leaving the islands and being away, and as things are growing, it's all about reconnecting and learning the history of it, which I'm so interested in. But
Word.
but yeah, I'd love to get Skillroy on
That's
some way
dope.
somehow. I know you battled him a little bit ago, so you
Yeah,
might
yeah,
have
yeah. That was good.
a better connect than I do at this
Oh
point.
yeah, no, no, I have access to him for sure. I have access to him, so we could definitely get him on here. You know what I mean? Now we're navigating StreamYard, or actually, I would say Jay's navigating StreamYard. You know how it goes. Just send a link, and you hook it up to your phone, and we can have the interviews instantly. Instantly, you know what I mean? You just
Technology,
stick them
man, I love it.
backstage. Oh man, dude, this is crazy. To me, this is crazy because everyone's used to Instagram, and this is what I've been watching out the streamers. Shout out to the THPP network. Shout out to Primal Studies. Shout out to Duke and Dawn. These are the guys I watched. The lead attorney. These are the guys I watched. And I was like, man, they're on live stream, and they've only been like for about a year. I was like, I was doing this on Instagram and Facebook like for like since 2016. And it's like, yo, I need to transfer to YouTube, man. Like, I gotta just do it on YouTube already. So those guys inspired me. Shout out to those guys, for like starting this. You know what I mean? Like, getting on this journey. And thanks. Shout out to you, Jay, for like kind of like we motivate each other. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why it's good to have this podcast. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, man, big time. A lot of the things you told me already historically within the scene, it so valuable, man. One of the ideas we threw around as we're getting this started is creating some sort of a chronological order and maybe
Yeah.
even categorical order of music,
Yes.
regional styles,
Yep.
and just a chronological timeline of hip hop
Yep. Yep.
from what we know in our experiences and the
Yes.
network.
Yeah.
Uh,
And we have access. We have access, man. Like, we just have to like, I think that's like an empty space, right? There's a few podcasts about breaking, but with 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 my experience and and my network, I could get them on, and I know I can. You know what I'm saying? And it's just about like what was the difference between when I did the trades, and I'll still do the trades eventually, but the difference is production. Like it's always been low tech for me. So this is right here. It's like this is high tech to me, and it's
oh
just like
yeah,
now we can
oh,
actually react in real time. Like you're like kind of the engineer producer and and at the same time host. So this is a great venture that like like I think no one's on it yet because no, like only shout out to Smurf and Spin Theory because like he's the only one that's doing a live stream and
Yeah,
like and reactions, right? So we're kind of doing the same thing, but the difference is like and even Dizzy said about when you watch podcasts, the thing is when we watch Smurf, we're not really watching the breaking. It's like we're hanging out with our homies and watching, it's just like his recent live stream. It was like hang out with him. Hey, pause that, rewind that. I don't want to even see the whole battle. That guy's dope. Everyone else sucks. Like, and that's Smurfs. We're there to hang out with Smurf. We're not really there to analyze and break down what the judges were thinking, what the B-boy or B-girl was thinking, the movements, and scientifically what type of kinetic energy that he had to generate to do that move. And this is where we can actually step in and actually, break down everything. I can give you
yeah,
the past of why he's what, where, why, and that's what's going to give us a different edge and different, like, and to fill in the gap of like, well, we're breaking it down scientifically, man. We're breaking down culturally. We're trying to have an objective perspective, even on a judge who's judging it subjectively. We can objectively look. Maybe he's looking at this angle. Maybe he's looking at that angle, and that way it makes the audience know, like kind of like through our eyes what we're looking at, and thus gives them like a taste of like kind of like the culture without being in the culture. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, man. And I think you, as a person collaborating with in doing this, again, the experience that you've already been doing this, and you implement it in your training with some of your students already. Which I
Yeah.
sampled your training the other day, and
Yeah.
kicked
Yeah.
my butt, man. But no, the
Welcome to Time
psychology
to
that
Die.
you apply to it on all those levels, the judges, putting
Yeah.
yourself under the stress that you've
Yep.
experienced, and not only personally, but what you have observed on a
Yep.
worldwide level. So
Yeah.
again, I'm very, very stoked on the information that we're gonna bring about within this podcast. And
Yeah. Let's
yeah,
get. Yeah. 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 Let's get to it though. Let's
yeah,
put our science. So what we have is we're gonna observe a few clips that we picked, and then we're just gonna talk about maybe we'll let it ride, maybe we'll comment during it, and that'll be part of the show is like we're actually doing live reactions to whatever clips of breaking there is. You know what I mean? And mind you, we're still navigating. So if it's not necessarily the cleanest, like bear with us. We're a work in progress. Look at that. That's cool. Like, wow, I can see a screen. You know what I mean? Like,
all right, yo,
dude, we can even watch your lessons. We can even watch your lessons if we want. You know what I mean? And we could just talk about that breakdown, like, if we wanted to. That's what the show's about. We're going to be open. And maybe, like, eventually when we get a bigger audience, you could put in requests live on the chat, like what you want us to react to. And we could just pull it up. You know what I mean? All
yeah,
right. Ads. Ads
ads,
are
baby.
dope. Ads are dope. There you go.
Technology
All
is
right.
dope, man. Look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. All
Okay,
right. So what are we doing? What
so
are
we're
we
looking at
watching today?
the Texas Open. I was trying to do my research on the finals. As we know, Jeffro from social
Right.
media, Jeffro, he got his two
Yeah.
peat. He did
Right.
win the one in Las Vegas, which I don't know if
Yeah.
you want to look at the Las Vegas, if you want to look at a battle.
Yeah. We'll
Or
we'll eventually. Well, let's talk about Jeffro real quick. So like enlarge that screen too. Largest screen. Largest screen. Yeah. So before we get into Jeffro, the thing about Jeffro, man. So he won twice in a row. He won in Vegas, and J Soul right here battled him in the top eight.
yeah,
Yeah.
stop it.
This guy, So J Soul battled him, and then he just won this Texas Open. So I think because he got two of the highest points, he's automatically in the finals. I think, from what I believe. I'm not sure. I still got to do my research, but I think because he won here, Vegas and in Texas, he's automatically on there. Just to give a little history of Jethro. Jethro's from Rad Crew, Rock All Day, and his the guy who helped create that crew was Jesse Germs, right? From Vicious Germs. And
Oh no way,
they all
nice.
started they all started from YA, the Youth Authority over there in Texas, which is a session that happens every Thursday. And they've been having it for the last maybe more than 15 years. And there will always be competitions. So if you're wondering why Texas was at a certain level, it's because they had a competition every Thursday. So it's almost like they're having scrimmages every Thursday to get them ready. You know what I mean? So that's a little bit of history of Houston history of why, how come guys from Rock All Day and Havoc Coral and even like Jive Turkeys like are came out, like how the Texas scene even got created was from YA. Shout to YA out there.
Yeah,
Thursday
so,
nights,
so
check it out.
so YA, is that a club, or is that a
Yeah,
organization you said?
it's an organization. It's like basically I'm butchering if I'm butchering the youth. Basically it's a church that has a program for the youth
Okay.
to keep kids out of trouble. You know what I
Is
mean? And
that
they've been having it for like 20 years or even maybe longer than that. But you know, if I could like look it all up right now, I would, but you know, I'm just going off the head.
damn
But
20
yeah, they've been
years?
around for like
Yeah.
maybe even longer, bro. Maybe even longer because I think Boy and them started there. You know what I mean? Like we're talking like, you know, like yeah, like maybe 99. So maybe more than 20 years.
Wow. And this is in Houston, you said,
Yeah,
or
Houston. Yeah, it's in Houston. I was actually was lucky enough to witness a Thursday night there before.
dope, dope, man.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I just met Jeffro when he was out here a couple of weeks ago for the Vegas Open. I was getting some fresh air at the District Arts outside,
Right.
and he came outside as well. And I introduced myself. And prior to that, I definitely see this kid come up. Over the past 5 years, specifically, when I first seen him, kind of like everybody else, you know, there are things about them. Everybody normally, when they're making noise, they have a level of athletics about them that can
Hmm.
carry them
Yeah.
to get a highlight clip or whatnot. But
Right.
what's interesting over the past 5 years that got my attention is he's developing signatures, and on top of that, his whole style is becoming signature with that.
Right.
Um, there are certain things about his style in itself that I am indifferent about. Mainly how positional clarity. I'm big on that in the era I came from. Having
Right.
a little bit of finesse and also being able to.
Well, let's talk about that. Let's watch a clip and like, you know, let's play it out
Okay.
and then let's stop the clip where you feel like, you know, what like that way I can understand what you're talking about. And then
Okay.
I'll
Cool.
give
So
my take.
cool. Can you see? Because right
Oh
now
yeah.
all I can see is a big screen. You can see.
Yep. We're both on there.
I'd
Uh,
rather watch a battle, but let's try. Let's try it on this
yeah,
one.
let's try. Yeah, let's try. Yeah.
Can you hear me right now, bro?
Yep. Yep.
So look at the foot, look at the details, the amount of
Yeah.
connections that he has, not only with the ground but within his own bodies, right? All the points of
Right.
contacts he's making,
Yeah.
right? He's
And
not necessarily doing patterns,
right.
but his movement as an entire package, right? It's very footwork based, which you can
Yep.
compare to sprinting. So we're
Right.
looking at it. I mean, opposite of the Euro style, right? Which is a lot of
Yep.
flow, a lot of
Yes. Yep.
power.
Yep.
Um, again, running, sprinting base. That's like the highest
Right.
level of athletics, and the amount that he's changing directions
Right.
is incredible.
Yeah.
And again, over the
And
past 5 years, he's developing these freeze setups, and look at the way he's finding the fourth dimension. And when I say fourth dimension, in the air, he's making these connections and finding these pockets, these
right.
original unique pockets in the space around him, and the way he's
Yep.
able to do so from footwork, in and out of footwork, right?
Yeah. Yeah, the
And
thing is like I said, like so it's all in relation to like what I call composition, right? Like everything makes sense like from one movement to the next movement, it's making sense. And think a lot of people here's the crazy part. Even though it's combinations, there's this improv that's going on at the same time, which is like which is the draw, right? This is the connection to the music that he has. Let
yes,
alone like, you know, like what you're talking about, the biomechanics of the balance and his athleticism. The fact that he's footwork based is what opens him up to connect to the music more than a Euro style.
oh yeah,
You know what I
the
mean?
foundation of footwork is the closest to drumming, to becoming a
Right.
drummer, and
Yes.
that's yeah, jazz is
Yes.
based off of that, and
Yes.
especially funk
Yes.
breaks, right?
Yep.
Improving.
100.
So
100.
this guy's a musician. He's an athletic
Yeah.
musician, is what he is, and
Yes. Yeah.
and capitalizing on it, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
and with that, he can look different almost every time.
Yeah, exactly. Even though he's doing similar moves, I think not a lot of people catch that. If you're a technical head or a power guy, it's gonna be hard to see those little details and how difficult it is, right? Because you're stopping momentum in a dime, right? The whole thing
Yeah,
is there's because of the approach as a drummer, right? You're hitting like what they call flares and triplets in drumming, right? You're hitting those things, right? Which is crazy, and then hitting the snare and hitting the hi hat, the cymbal crash on the one. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So okay,
Let's watch him in.
let's talk about like real quick before we go to the next clip. Let's talk about what you were indifferent about from the clips that we just saw. That clip we just saw, the highlights. What's something that you're indifferent about?
Let me navigate back to this screen real quick.
Yeah. That's fine. Yeah,
We'll figure this out.
yeah,
Well, it's kind of the scratchiness. So me being a man of this art, a practitioner, positional clarity is big time, and especially from the generation I come from.
yeah.
Clean pitches and clean hits. He plays the middle ground, so he's like kind of like a drummer, like rolling it instead of hitting a definite sound, right, and
Uh-huh.
holding a definite form. He's always
Mhm.
kind of like tapping in and out of it. So he's always in a
Committed.
position of improv, but
Right.
from what I just described, it looks
Yeah.
scratchy. Everything's like, like he could
Hmm.
easily fall into an out of position. So I know I understand the advantage of it, but
Yes,
aesthetically, like
for sure.
there's a
For
different
sure,
level
there's
of
an advantage of
mastery.
it.
There's a different level of mastery within your own body and kinesthetic intelligence, body intelligence, when you are able to uh, do an entire sequence and have positional clarity within it. The music calls for it, so it's a different way of um, experiencing and expressing the music, right? Because
Yeah,
at the
I
end
hear
of
what
the
you're
day,
saying.
that's what it's about. So he's playing the middle game, uh, and doing it very very well. So the
Yeah, so
indifference is scratchy. It's kind of scratchy, and he doesn't
right,
hold
right, right.
form that I
I
could
hear.
have.
Okay, I can hear you saying because okay, like so let's bring it back to Skillroy, right? Like
Yeah,
Skillroy is like the epitome of what you're talking about. He's the epitome, fully stretched out, the like everything ready, stored up in the thighs, ready to swing, right? And that's gonna take away from like if I'm trying to hit the beat every beat. It is different, right? You're gonna hit every other like, snare drum with that, especially if you're longer, because I have a client that's 6'4".
hmm
So it's like he's trying to do that, and I'm like, no, you can't, right?
hmm
Like it's hard because it's like you're sacrificing your form. You're sacrificing like it's gonna look what you say scratchy. It's gonna look like like it's not. I say the best way I could say it's like it's not committal, right? Because if you commit and you're a longer guy, right? Like Jethro's limbs are a little bit longer. If you commit to that full movement, you're gonna miss that beat. You just are. That's just what it is, right? It's just what it is. It's a
So it's a
difference
moment of
from
vulnerability. I like
it
that
could
term that
be.
you put to it.
It could
It's
be. It could be. I mean,
yeah.
he's taking it back. He's tripling down on his strength, right? Which is the musicality.
hmm
It's the intelligence that he has on top too. Which, like, dude, like, let's be real. Like, we can count the like in our hands who could really like top rock and dance. You know what I mean? Argumentatively, like when I say dance, I'm talking like full body, shoulder movement, coordination. And this is let's just say this: Machine and Kamel and Why Not and Remind and these guys that could dance on top could like if they were to pretend to pop, I wouldn't know that they're faking it. You know what I mean? I wouldn't know that they're faking it. It looks like they can pop, but they're just like, I don't know how to pop. Versus a B-boy that's like someone like Pocket, who cannot do that whatsoever. So he's using that top rock as a strength, like it's a power move.
hmm
But the
Are
thing is,
you
and
talking
here's the thing
about
about
Jeffro?
yeah, I'm talking about Jeffrey. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? That's his advantage. His advantage is that he's like the 2% of b-boys that can actually top like on that full dance range, which again Bay Area values, Philly values, but that's about it in the U.S. like as far as regional, and that, I'll argue anyone with that. You know what I'm saying? So he's using that as advantage. That's his power move. That's something he knows that he has that not a lot of people have.
Mm-hmm.
Like the only other guy that I could think of that's higher, like that says high caliber as him, is Hijack. That's young, like the up and comers is Hijack. Someone like Hijack, right? Who has high level of movement with that type of intelligence on top of Top Rock.
I mean, top. I see how they're adding both of them grooves. They're adding local motor movement, right? They're still
Right.
and they'll
Right.
groove to kind of like
Yeah.
break up the monotony of the steps and the
Yeah.
local motion, right? Moving side,
Yeah.
rebounding, moving side by
Yeah.
side.
Yep.
It's dope, done tastefully. We see certain b-boys doing it really dope. But when you mentioned Jeffro as a top rocker, I don't know him that well, just from what we've seen
Right.
in competition and big stage battles. I'm sure in a
Right.
cipher, I wouldn't doubt that he has the ability just based on his musical intelligence,
Oh yeah.
spatial
No, he's
intelligence,
dope.
body intelligence.
He's
But
dope.
I mean, why not is the epitome of somebody who
The
top rock.
he's the one that set the foundation. Like, there was guys like the guys before Why Not were like Remind, Abstract, KML, Machine. But Why Not became like very specific in that. He became that dude. He presented it in 2009, what it looks like, what does where Top Rock like could go. You know what I mean?
He's
Like it
dancing
was
with
Why Not.
steps. All the other guys like Machine, they don't dance with steps. They dance with groove.
Yeah,
They'll stop and they'll
yeah,
groove, and they'll
yeah,
find
yeah,
ways to maximize the different levels and different dimensions to be musical. And it's dope and it's dance. I'm definitely not writing it off. But if we're talking top rock, to where people are
yeah,
maintaining the cultural relevance to
yeah,
directly to breaking, a lot of people are steering away from the actual top rock foundations, and there's a lot to it that
yeah.
you
I
know
agree. I agree. Why
and
Not was able to do it. Why Not was definitely able to do it, because he had his teachers. He had Mr. Wiggles to teach him like all the steps. But
yeah.
if you just, for instance, Why Not's background, he started out as a freestyle dancer first before a b-boy.
Mm-hmm.
So he just brought that to breaking. You know what I mean? He just
Yeah.
brought that foundation to breaking. You know what I
And
mean?
again,
That groove foundation.
the groove. Yeah, it's an ability to dance non-local motor. And me coming from the rock steady era, where we listened to electric funk, Africa Bambaataa, James Brown, and stuff like that. But
And brought up.
it was mainly well, that's what the street jams, man. That's what I came up
Yeah,
on.
no, no, I'm just saying,
80s,
I'm just giving
80s.
comment on. Yeah, no, no. And that's what I'm saying. Like, this is what I'm saying. Now, there's the divide. Damn, we're going to go on forever, bro. Like,
Yeah,
that's already a
let's not get.
conversation.
We'll
Yeah,
save
yeah.
the music one. I mean, that
Just
could
go,
fall.
but just like, we'll talk about that. Electro really shaped the movement, a lot of the foundation we have now. Now, we'll save that we can have a whole section. We can have a whole podcast cast on
Yeah,
electro funk for sure,
yeah.
street jam shit for sure, and how that shaped breaking. 100. We could talk about that. See, kids, no one talks about this stuff. We will though. We'll talk about this stuff.
Yeah, man.
All
I
right.
think the biggest difference is being able to add, like you said, and this is kind of a key characteristic of popping, right? Having the motion, all motion comes from the spine. So being able
All
to
right.
generate motion from the spine, you can tell who's able to do that. And people with popping backgrounds for sure. It just everything looks more powerful, everything looks more strong.
Right.
And it follows our biological blueprint of being spine, having an anchored spine and having movement generated from the spine rather than from steps and footsteps. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
when we
yeah.
see people
Well,
talk
no,
about
well,
they're able to that know grooves and know how to move their head
yeah,
and the upper body
yeah,
like this, and also
yeah,
the different
yeah.
shoulder
And that's what you're saying about Jeffro, and I agree. You know what I mean? That's what it's like. But the thing is, I think the growth period is how do you become a Skillroy to that groove back to Skillroy form, right? That's the whole thing. How do you make that fluid and continuous and commit to that form, but get out of it and then come back? I mean, that I think that's the ultimate thing that my whole thing is about if you're a b-boy or b-girl, my whole thing is like don't disregard a style, see if you can master it, and then see what you can add to it with that understanding. And that's why I think a lot of b-boys and b-girls go, this is my style and this is it. They
Hmm.
triple down on their strength, right? And you already know, Jay already knows. Like I'm working on power not because I like it. I work on it because I'm weak at it. You know what I mean? It just
Yeah.
makes my footwork better. You know what I'm saying? Like just because I have the understanding of proper mechanics and stuff.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, but I mean, I've seen it's a musical generational thing, right? Like even for me, I never listened
Yes,
to Latin funk, and that's gonna help me open up
100,
my shoulders and my hips a little
100.
bit more. So Roy coming from the '80s, right?
Yeah,
It's all this, and it's like running and
yeah,
it's footsteps, and he has
yeah,
like different
yeah.
leg positioning to
Yep,
add patterns in what
yep,
he's doing to
yep,
again maximize the energy of the music that he came out to. So
yep.
that's another rabbit hole to jump into
Yo,
as well.
let's do this. We keep talking about Skillroy. Why don't we just pull up a clip of Skillroy real quick so
Oh
they can
man, now,
see?
now you're talking. Now you're
I mean,
talking.
we keep talking like, yo, that's the whole thing. You know what they say in movies, right? Like, if you want to make a good movie, you don't spill exposition. You show it. Show, don't tell. We keep talking about it.
You
Let's
weren't
show it. Let's
talking.
show it. Let's show
There's
it. Like, you could pull out the battle with me. Fuck it. Like, excuse me.
so you
F
you
it.
weren't talking this whole time, but now you
We're
talking.
gonna,
So now you-
yeah, 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 yeah. Let's show him real quick, and then we'll end the
okay.
show after that. You know what I
All right,
mean?
for sure.
We keep talking about him. Oh, Skillroy
Yeah.
this, Skillroy
Nine
that.
9.6K views, huh? I like that,
Yeah,
man.
man. Yeah, man. Yo, this crazy. Are you pulling up the melting pot battle? Yeah.
Yeah, can you see it?
Yeah, dude. He was 52 at the time, bro, or
And
50
how
years
old are
old.
you?
I was 42, so that was 4 years ago. So he's 54 right now. Yo, I just saw a clip of him at a footwork battle in Hawaii. He's looking fucking fresh, bro.
No way. You gotta send
Looking
that to me.
fresh. Yes. Yeah, yeah. It was on Ark's
So when I
IG.
say longevity, nice.
Yeah, let's watch
When I
this
say
guy.
long,
Let's
I want
watch
to talk
this
to
guy.
somebody that's been in the game for a long time. They've discovered biomechanics. If you
Right.
can move on all fours in the rotational space around you, you've discovered biomechanics. So
Right
whether
here.
he's conscious,
Here's
I'm sure he's conscious
yeah.
of it. But
Yeah. Right here. He nails 390s on my ass. Like out of nowhere, bro.
so
Right
I've seen
here.
him
Check
kill
this out.
funk beats and hit
Yeah.
different like characteristics on
Yeah.
funk beats with
Yeah.
his running style.
Bong.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Bong, dude. Look how hype
so,
I get. I'm like, yo, did this just happen? But look at that form. So what we're talking about is that stretched out, fully committed, right? He's not anticipating the beat, he's more riding the music versus anticipating the hit. So if you see there's no like pause right there,
so
pause right there, pause right there, right there. That
go
was
ahead.
perfect. Let's talk about that. Let's talk about that clip, man. Let's talk about that clip.
Let's go ahead.
So
So
that's the thing. What you're talking about, right? This is exactly what you're talking about. Like he just demonstrated it, bro.
yeah, so being able to how's this look on the thing?
It looks
Here,
fine.
we'll just go here.
Yeah,
So being able to have balance and control in the end position of the frame, having the intelligence of knowing where the end position is and having control in every millimeter of space from that into the next position is what
word.
is what a clean style and a clear style looks like. So again, positional clarity and having full control at any which moment is just a different level of mastery. And I don't know how long Jeffro's been breaking,
Mhm.
but what we know about Skillroy is he's been breaking since the 80s. Again, I'd like to
Dude,
get him on to
yeah.
find out exactly for sure. But when we talk about mastery, we can talk about
Nah,
Skillroy.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, actually, I have an interview right here on this YouTube channel with Skillroy. I actually have an interview with him on the
You
trade.
do?
So you can look at the backlog here on YouTube on my YouTube, and you'll you'll
Okay.
you'll see me interview him. Yeah, but yeah, he's
Look how
definitely
crisp.
yo, dude. I could see what you're saying now. I could see what you're saying about what we're talking about Skillroy, and I call it commitment. You're committing to a movement because when you commit to movement, you're waiting for that kinetic energy to flow and go. Versus like what you're saying with Jeffro, it's like he's always in this stalemate. Like you said, he's always in stalemate instead of fully stretched to commit. And like I said, it's because taking up space is going to take longer because he's longer. It's going to take more time to get there versus like someone like me who can get there quicker and groove with it and still keep form. You know what I mean? Those are the challenges of a tall b boy. Which Skillroy is a longer b boy. You know what I mean? And he
Yes.
has to commit. He has to commit. Like he can't change up real quick because like all that momentum he has to change. And it's like, I don't know. You could talk about that, Jay. Like, what does it take to kind of stop movement and then change direction real quick? Like, what in the chain of the movements? What's going on? And like, and your timing and stuff.
Man, I mean, it starts from understanding again where movement comes from. So Skilroy is a popper, right?
Right.
He comes from a generation where you needed to lock, you needed to pop, and it
Right.
all was one thing, right? It was all hip
Yeah.
hop.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
all movement comes from your core on a bunch of different levels. That's where your spine is located. That's where your
Right.
spinal cord, which gives your bodies a signal and the whole feedback system of, again, movement, right? And then from
Yeah.
there, like the intelligence of how he contacts the ground. That's where energy and force comes from, right there.
Right.
And then after that, body positioning and being able to integrate your entire body to be pressurized and have tension again at the end points, knowing where the tension, how to create tension at the end points to create a clean, crisp uh, picture and frame. Roy has it, and he's discovered.
Right.
And again, it's no, I'm not surprised, and nobody can be surprised that he has a popping background, right?
Yeah.
Knowing
Yeah.
how to move from that and stabilize the center of his body makes everything easier. So
Right.
that's why we're able to see crisp footwork. And when you see it together, it's a whole different experience. And again,
Yeah.
level of mastery, right? Did I answer that
Yeah.
question?
Yep. You did. And that's the thing. I mean, and then and I don't want to get too deep because we're already 40 minutes in, and and we
Yeah.
could go on forever actually in the conversation. But then, just to plug the future episodes, we could talk about how early '90s boom bap shapes these type of movements too, right? Because that if you look at Jeffro, if he's looking at so if we look at this timeline, if we look at Jeffro's timeline, and Jesse Germs is the elder that helped create Rock All Day or Rad, right? Who comes from the late '90s. His teachers definitely were listening to Wu Tang and definitely listened to Mobb Deep and definitely listened to Nas. And then so you're looking at DJ Premier produced beats. You are definitely going to move different from Skilroy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even you know what I mean? Because like, ah man, we could go on forever, but even for modern popping like Slim Boogie, or I think it's Slim Boogie. These guys look at hip hop guys. They want this in their popping now versus the 80s like robot foundation. They want the bounce, which is crazy. That's already a different topic as its own. But I'm just
Yeah.
saying because the early 90s, late 80s, early 90s guys, when you have producers like Molly Marr, when you have producers like the Shockley brothers, you got producers like Premier, you got producers like Q-Tip creating the music. It shows a different vibe where shoulders are more predominant than the actual just of stationary.
Standing
You know what I
upright,
mean?
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Roy has an upright position.
Right.
And his popping and everything kind of relates to that. But again, let's talk about running, right? That's what we have evolved to as humans, right? We have a biological blueprint that says our body moves best and fastest, and we produce the most force, propulsive force moving forward. If we look at Roy's style, right? Let's look how he aligns the toe, the knee, and the hip, and then let's see the relation of one extremity, one lower body, one leg to the other. It looks like he's running. He keeps the knees proximal or close together. And look at his foot positioning as well. Specifically
Mm-hmm.
how the heel is in line with the toe. It's not club foot, it's not pigeon toe duck or ducked out. So watch his top rocks, right? And then let's go ahead and if we have time, let's go watch Jeff Rose and let's look at the positioning of his lower extremity, right, as he's
All right.
moving, right? So
Yeah.
the way look how he's stepping. Look at his feet.
Mm-hmm.
It's in line. There's rotation. Well, he's not doing footwork here, but
Yeah. Yeah. All right. All right. Let's look at Jeffro now.
right. Look how his feet when it goes back under to support his basis. So his seat in the
Mm-hmm.
front forward position. It's slightly
Right.
bowed out, but you can see when he kicks, he plays to the biological blueprint of our knees extending straight out. And I know the
Right.
hips the hips are kind of like wheels and axles, and they can point in any which way, and you can still keep your knee out. But when he's footworking, he keeps that. Oh, my boy on beat real quick. So you want to watch one more, or you want to watch the Jeff row real
No,
quick?
no, no. Let's watch Jeff roll because like I like that demonstration. Let's get to it. That way we we stay on target. So.
Okay, okay. I don't know
Yeah.
where my
So
search bar is. So weird. Where is my search bar?
this is what they call in the industry struggle streaming, and we're struggle streaming right now. It's all good. That's our shit. We're struggle streaming
Well,
right now. Shout out to people. Remember, we need to figure out the chat part because eventually we need to interact. So I gotta figure all that out.
well, somebody commented, and I commented from mine, and it gave your names because I'm signed in under you. So which one should
Right.
we watch? Let's watch.
Let's watch the same one. Let's watch the same highlight because like the audience is already used to that.
Can you see the screen?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is why next time we will have the videos ready instead of coming from YouTube. That way it'll be a lot cleaner. All right. So go ahead. Let's comment on let's break down his thing. So actually pause it even when the screen is frozen, right? But if I'm looking at his alignment right there, you can already tell me what's
It's
up with
pretty
that.
good. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
from what I've been watching it so far, yeah, it's pretty good. Again,
Yeah.
Jeff Rowe has a running style. Anyone who has a footwork style is a running style. And you can
Right.
tell when they can produce speed and force and they have balance, how we can quantify that is how they're able to change direction and how fast they're able to move. Speed is a
Right.
good indicator of performance within footwork, obviously, right? But is the positional clarity compromised? Is kind of what when I think of quality movement in footwork, which his slightly is, but if we're looking at his alignment.
Okay, yeah. This is what I'm going for. This is what I'm going for. This is what I want you to talk about.
Look at the left leg, right? The toe, the heel, the knee. That's all in line. So, boom, he's able to swing around himself really good. No, yeah. I mean, let's try and stop. Let's just see these freeze frames right here. I like to
pause
see
it where you. Pause it where you feel like what you're talking about. You're indifferent about. Pause it, and we could talk about his form and stuff like that.
Well, looking at his footwork, I mean, it's pretty good. And let's see how he steps. Yeah, I mean, he keeps it pretty good in line, man. It's mainly in his freezes and when he's on his back, the positional clarity. He doesn't do CCs. He doesn't do. Okay, that's a CC.
That was a CC.
Yeah, yeah.
But I think I know what you mean. It's not maybe fully extended. Like that coil is not fully happening, maybe, in your opinion. You tell me.
Yeah, well, he's extended, man. Look at his leg. It's fully extended. So he's not under his body's mass right here. Is located right here. Your pelvis around your navel is where your body's the most balanced, right? Okay. So in terms of movement, if we were to define it or balance in general, and I got this from Carl Paoli, and it's a beautiful, simple way to understand what balance is in relation to what we're doing, is balance is a game of adjustments and adjusting your center of mass in relation to your base of support. So he's upper body dominant with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's utility to that, but
I'm just looking for where you're disagreeing. I mean, where you're indifferent.
Clean. That's clean.
Yeah.
He's not charged up on his lower extremity when he's doing this, and he's upper body predominant. As you can see, his posture is laid back right there, right? Yep. So it's not affecting him because he's a specimen, right?
Right.
And if you have a solid core, you can get away with a lot.
I definitely agree. I definitely agree with that.
Hold on.
Would you say that you would like to see more solid circular movement?
So the reason he doesn't have clarity, no, his circular, patterns and movement is great. But look, he's dead footing it right here, right? So when you're on the side of your foot and you're not on the bottom of your foot, he's not under his center, right? So he's definitely relying on his upper body.
Yep.
A lot, which is leaving energy on the shelf. When you're not using your lower body, This is your biggest muscle group right here, is your glutes, right? And your lower body. Supposedly, men are different. Right? We have, especially if you've
Yeah.
been breaking as long as he has at his skill level, a very overly developed upper body. But he's dead footing it right here. That means there's no energy coming from his foot, and that's why there's no clarity within this. So he's breaking so fast. I mean, we can pause any which position. Let's try and watch it all together. But
Yep.
the opposition of this is being on the bottom of your foot, and when you're doing that, again, there's the articulation at the ankle joint that suits our biological blueprint of moving on the bottom of our feet. And when we do that, we have contraction and contractile force and tension throughout the whole lower body. Right now, it's only in his upper body. So
Word.
we see that, and that's kind of what we see when there's no
Yeah,
positional clarity.
but let's watch what he's doing though. What's the composition of it? What's what I mean? What's the context of him doing that? Is it just default or is it on purpose? You know what I mean? Let's watch that
Well,
first.
he's doing CCs, and the utility of a CC is it's a trigger, right? It's one of the most
Well,
foundational steps.
I want to make sure. Let's watch that clip in motion because then that way I could get my take on it.
He's just doing side by side, CC, CC. Any type of rebounding movement is good when you're
Right,
freestyling.
go back like maybe like 4 or 5 seconds before he does those CCs. I just want to see the composition. I want to see his setup. All
Boom,
right.
dead foot. That one he was kind of on the side of his feet.
That looked like an elongated CC though.
Yeah. Elongated, but again, what we're seeing, oh wow. What was that? So look. Oh wait. Am I ahead of it?
Yeah.
I don't know where I'm
There
at.
you go. Right there. That's where we started. Let's just look at that motion right here. Okay.
Boom. This means there's energy left on the shelf right here. Right? When you're on the side of your foot and not on the bottom, and also your leg is extended. When your leg is extended like that, your quads are firing and not so much in the whole backside of your body, which again, we've developed glutes to move, to propulse forward, right?
Do you
So
think that's possibly a stylistic choice versus a subconscious, like, you know what I
for
mean,
sure.
default?
For sure. And we're just capturing one moment of this. We're being
Yeah.
hypercritical on it. But if
Right.
we're talking about biomechanics and posture and why there is no clarity, if you want to check out a CC from, we can see exactly why, the difference, right? And it is an excellent move to kind of assess this right here. Again, it is one of the more foundational moves that we produce snapping power from, right? So not only is the whole backside of this leg not contracting and shut off, he doesn't have his foot in a position to create tension throughout the leg. So not only on the front side, but the back side is losing energy. And that's his third base of support. He has two hands, all the energy's
Right.
there. So when you say stylistically, yeah, he's swinging his body around, right? Which is the rudiments of a flare, right? So he's bringing that swinging energy. But again, positional clarity, the whole part of your body does not have energy in it right here. It's
So,
coming.
okay. This is gonna be the pushback. This is the conversation that we're gonna have because it's great. Because no one
Yeah, no,
like
give it.
this is like super new. So here's the thing. What if that is the clarity he wants? It's almost like, okay, this is the best way I could do. This is the best way I could compare it to, right?
Yeah.
You know who Jay Dilla is, right?
Yeah, he's a producer. Yeah, I'm from
Yeah.
Hawaii. I know
So
reggae more than anything, but
yeah,
yeah,
so
I'm
Jay
learning.
Dilla, why I didn't understand Jay Dilla at the very beginning, right? I didn't like Jay Dilla, right? I didn't like him. Like he changed the sound of produced hip hop. Um, so there's something on a MPC called a quantifier, and it's like basically to keep it on beat. What Jay Dilla did was purposely get it off beat.
Uh-huh.
He purposely did it, and it gave produced music a rawer sound. Until we talk to, what if he's purposely, I want it to look ugly? What if is that
Well,
he's purposely doing that? He's
now,
purposely
now we're
not
getting
putting that
subjective on
ball.
it.
I'm just saying, this is his shit. You know what I mean? We don't know if it's default or stylistic preference.
For sure, and no judgment on that. All I'm saying is the reason it looks scratchy is he's dragging
But
his foot all over the ground.
maybe he's going for the scratchy look, is what I'm saying.
Well, his shoes do not like him for it. I'll just say that. Boom. But look at his
You know what
heels.
I mean? But you know what I mean? It's kind of like the wrist moves, man. I'm not feeling the wrist moves at all.
Boom. So look at my boy. Look at my boy CC right here. We caught it at a bad the free leg, the open chain leg right here.
But this is, I know what you're talking about because I feel you. I'm not disregarding what you're saying. I'm saying that this is, you're right. Kinetically, this is, and proper form, this is it. But it's just like my pushback is like, I think wrist moves are ugly, but people are still doing it. You know what I mean? It's kind of on that, because it's a choice. It's a choice to do a wrist move.
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why it's like, yeah, you're right. It's subjective. It's not, maybe it's not about the, you know, the most optimal and economical movement. It's about like, wrist moves are ugly. I don't give a fuck. They don't, to me, they don't serve any purpose, but people still do it. So it's like, it might be the same thing. You know what I mean? It might be the same thing. It might be a choice thing. Yep, exactly. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. It could be, the question is, can he do it or not? And that's what I'm saying. Like, that's what I'm saying. Because the thing is, I can't do it, and I can't, I could consciously not put my foot down, and I could consciously do exactly what Skilroy is doing right there. You know what I mean? I could consciously do that. I have access to that because I study the craft in many ways versus just like it's default and I don't even realize I'm doing it. You know what I mean? But that's me. I'm super particular. You know what I mean? Like, I'll observe. You know what I'm saying? I understand what you're saying, and that's why you're not feeling, like, you call it scratchy, and I feel you on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's utility to what he's doing, right? When he has no energy coming up his leg, it's resting, right? There's no force creating tension and fatigue in the leg. So he can get up and reset and do the other things he's doing. I could see that. But all I'm saying is to have a balanced approach and to be crisp and clear with what you're doing, which again, like, movement is language, right? So I can slur a word to you and then rest my tongue and my brain calories of formulating the word that I want to say, or I could say it really crisp and clear and communicate effectively. And what we're communicating when we're dancing is snappy drum and music.
Be very, you know, hyper vigilant about that, because you just described what kids love today.
So yeah.
And music.
For sure. So again, it represents.
I'm gonna talk about this. I'm gonna talk about this. This is my song, and they consider that hip hop.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
So
it relates. It relates.
Let's look at homie's biomechanics right there. Look at his knees, how proximal they are, right? When you run, you don't run bow-legged. So with that, he's generating force and rotating at the right constructs. His shoulder, his thoracic and lumbar, you know, mid and lower spine right here, and then also his hip, right? The one on the ground right there, the left, he's on the bottom side of his foot. That means his
You just proved it. Like I said, like you this is good access. Yo, you pulled out a good clip to compare it to. Like, straight up, you pulled a really excellent clip. Excellent fucking freeze frame too of it.
So let's.
But you know, but you know what I'm saying though, right? You know, you understand, like, you know. But so the question is, the question is it by choice or is it by default? And that's what it, to me, that's what it always comes down to, right? Ooh, that was a dope leaf drop. Backspin, leaf drop.
Did you see that?
Dude, that was fresh. That was fresh, bro.
Oh, dude.
Excellent form, man.
This is the 90s,
yeah.
dude.
Yeah.
B-boy
but see, that's what I'm saying. Now, barely people even break like this, and this is clean. They like, people don't even have this choice right now. This is what I'm saying about the scene. They're just watching the last guy for the last 2 years that's killing it versus like researching. And my whole thing is, now we can end it. Like, we've been almost in an hour. But but my thing is this. My thing is to learn everything. I should be able to look like Jeffro, and I should be able to look at like a Skilroy at access and a conscious, you know, choice. And I think a lot of B-boys don't have that. Like that's why the whole thing when we had the Floor Gangs anniversary or the Floor Gangs online battle last in 2020, it was kind of like your first round had to actually look like Skilroy's round. Then after that, it's like then you could put on your own creation. But the problem is kids don't even know that. You know what I mean? And that's the probably the challenge. The challenge is like, how do you curate this? How do you teach a young one when he's like, "Well, I just watched Victor." They're not
Mhm,
watching any of this footage to get access of proper mechanics first, right? They're just
mhm.
watching the guys that they're watching. You know what I mean? Like I said, man, they consider Kid David old school by this time. Like Kid David's not old school, but I talk to these kids, they think, oh, it's old school like Kid David. Like, yo, like if you're 30, dude, you laugh at this, bro, but it's the truth. I talk to all these kids, man. They all think Kid David is old school.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I
So,
think
and
what's
this is
missing right now is again this alternative of understanding human movement foundation in relation to reality, which is we have this biological blueprint, right? We're meant to walk forward in a certain way with posture, and we're meant to connect to the ground and understanding where the energy sources are in the environment around us. So understanding that is a way to hack, to streamline, and to ultimately guide people in a way that they can discover their unique advantage and their unique relation to nature. Again, ground, gravity, space around us. What's happening is people are, oh, hey, oh, the Kid David thing, the Flea Rock thing that I seen, let me do that. You're learning his body style, his
right,
bias, and
right,
all these other
right,
things that are taking people
right, right,
at worst case, they're injuring and they're like, oh, this dance isn't meant for me. Hold on, you have a body. It is meant for you. You are meant to move in the circular space. And this is where we are moving to as humans. We see it in the calisthenics movement, right? Everyone's trying to throw a flare in their push up. Everyone's trying to do the animal flow and do these
right.
eBay
Yeah, yeah,
knockoff versions of what breaking is.
yeah, 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 yeah. That's real.
But it's
That's
all
real.
catching up, man.
Yeah.
So, big ups to Jeffro. I have much respect for him as an athlete, as an artist. He's going to represent. He's one of the best
100,
representatives
100.
of the U.S. right now because he's
Right.
bringing jazz to it, man. His
Yeah, yeah,
gas tank is his approach to it, man.
yeah.
Everything is
I
so.
agree.
So
I
big
I
ups to
100%
Jeffro.
agree.
Um, let's get
It's funny, yeah,
scrolling on here.
yeah, yeah. It's funny because I'm like, yo, it's crazy because I'm older than you, but I'm playing the devil's advocate towards the like. If it was like hip hop rap shit, you're like talking about Nas and like Nas and these guys. I'm talking about like Fetty Wap. Like I'm
Yeah,
defending like right now I'm defending Fetty Wap. I'm defending like little Uzi Vert and Migos and shit because I could kind of relate. You know what I mean?
that's
But
intelligence.
my but my whole thing is this. This is my thing though. It's this is where I'm like, all right, if you really love everything about it, I should be able to do that like kind of like scissor flow. If I were to relate it to hip hop, I should be able to do that scissor broken melodic, like gibberish, like that type of flow and spit a hot bar. If I really love the culture, I could do
Yeah,
both. I have access to both, and that's all I'm saying. Like I was offered that pushback. I always play that devil's advocate. It's crazy because I thought I would be more of the old head defending the old head, like
hey,
like more. I'll be
that's where you're
defending
intelligent.
Skilroy. You know what I
That's
mean?
that's a good indicator of your intelligence and your ability to step out of your bias is and what ultimately is going to help contribute to the growth of what we're doing in the bigger
Right,
community is understanding the psychology which comes from culture, aka music, right,
right.
of
Yep.
all the generations that you've been a part of, including the new
Yep.
one. And I have a
Yep.
lot to learn on that sense as well. I'm stuck on the foundations, I'm stuck on the biomechanics, and
I thought I was supposed to be the old head, bro. I was supposed to be the old.
I
I was
started I
supposed to be like,
started
you young whippersnappers are doing it all wrong. Like I thought I was supposed to be that guy.
Well, in hip hop, you're ahead of me for sure. Just being from the
Right.
mainland as opposed to from the islands, but um, yeah, man. In breaking, we started around the same time. I started in '95.
True.
You're
Very
what,
true. Very true.
92?
Very true. Very true. Very true. Very true.
So yeah, again, I had electric funk and I had reggae on the
Yeah.
islands, right? So
I feel it. Yeah, I feel it. You know what I mean?
yeah,
I feel
man.
it. Yeah. But dude, this has been a dope episode. We went we weren't even supposed to go in. And we
Yeah.
had no topics, and we were like, we started the third attempt of starting the broadcast,
We'll
and
get
we
this
went in
down,
on
man.
this one. Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. Like we're gonna pay for a better StreamYard. Like let's
Let's get some funding to get the
yeah,
the logo out. Yeah,
to get the logo. Yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
man.
To get the watermark out, and then we could put our background. I think it'll be really dope. But yo, man, like we broke down a lot of stuff, man, and it's
Yep.
gonna be like we got like we'll talk on the back end and just like how do we transition while we're having these conversations. That way we have a visual while we're talking, having these deep
Yeah, get that
talks
all
and
smooth.
break. Yeah, exactly. But yo, this has been really dope. And just if you're tuning in now, later on the stream, yo, hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell on the top so that way you
Smash that
know.
subscribe button. I always wanted to say that,
that
man. There it is.
that
Shamelessly.
way, that way, and comment below. What do you want us to review? Like maybe like,
Yeah.
yo, I don't like. Why is this guy? Like we can break down why this guy. Yo, we can even talk about how social media affects, the popularity of a b-boy or b-girl. We'll go deep, man. We'll go deep. And we'll analyze it and we'll break it down. And just comment below who do you want us to react to, and that way, we could give you some information, give you some insight from our perspective, and we could have these conversations, right? I
Yes,
think it's really dope. Yeah,
cool,
man.
Profo. Gearheads unite.
Gearheads. Yo, Jay, before we sign out, where can they follow you?
Right here on the banner. If they didn't get blasted enough and notice this conveniently positioned moving banner right here. High State Rocker. That's my personal, and then BTR Breaking is the movement, the scientific base movement that I am growing as well. So they can definitely follow me there. And anyone, feel free to hit me up. I love talking about biomechanics, anything breaking biomechanics and related to the islands. Yep.
There you go. All right, and you can follow me on IG, obviously right here, but I'll say it anyway, at PROFO_FLGZ. Yo, this has been Gearheads, episode 1. Holler at us, and we'll get back to you. All right, y'all.
Aloha.
Peace.
Cheap.